Welcome, SUSE QE Tools Workshop. Sorry for the weird coloring, but you will also see then in the recordings, but it's just adding to the fun. Now I'm sharing my screen here with the wiki, but we will soon switch to an Etherpad document where we collected lightning talks. So today we will have a lightning talk session. In particular, what I'm interested in how we review openQA test results by SUSE QE teams. Now there had been, let's check, at least 2 entries I have seen. And yeah, it stays with 2 entries, but if during the course of this talk you have something that you would like to present, then please go ahead and do that. I just cleaned out one example lightning talk. So we have 2, and yeah, we can start with the first. So Phoenix, if you're ready, show us something about openQA Ref2 demonstration and how you can use it as well.
Okay, let me just share my screen with you. I hope you can see something.
Looks nice.
Okay, so I'm still working with my own openQA mon utility. And this one consists of 3 packages, and one of them is the ref2 utility. It's still marked.
So wait a second. So you have grown your tool set to 3 by now. That was RevToy and yeah, and 2 more. Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit growing, but it's still a bit experimental. And lately, I didn't have so much time to actually do the fine tuning that I would like to do here. But
Uh-huh.
Ref2 actually exists, and I have presented that already, and I'm still using this for the review shifts that I'm having. So Ref2 is a revision terminal utility. You can download it there. It's also in Tumbleweed in the packages, and I just quickly start by showing you what it does. So if you have it, then you can just start it. And you have then configuration files that define the job groups that you want to review. And here I'm just using OpenSUSE Tumbleweed as an example. Perhaps I increase the font size a little bit. Profile references, I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, this works nicer.
Looks good.
And it fetches the defined job group. We will go into a configuration file later, and by default, it just shows the failed test runs. With H, I can hide or show all test runs. Then you see also the running and the passed one. But by default, it only shows me the ones that I'm interested, which are the failing ones. With the link that is displayed here, you can typically just do a control and click, and then you immediately end up with the failing job. And another cool feature is if you have it in purple, this means that this has been already reviewed. And this typically means that there is a, there is a bug ref in it. So those you can ignore, and it quickly shows me what I need to do. In this case, I would have to review 2 jobs because they are just marked in red. So on a daily basis, if I'm on review shift, what I do is typically I start a debug session, and then I have some aliases set, which is ref2 public cloud. Then I go to another one to ref2 containers. Then I go ref2 micro, firstly micro. Then I have also ref2 WSL. And I have ref2 juice. So they take typically a little bit to start up, but then I can just go through here. Here we see that in public cloud, we right now have an issue with image proof that is worked on, but Pavel will review them soon. Here in the container section, yeah, S390 is at the moment a bit bitchy, but it's also something that we know already. The PCI test run is new that I have to review later on. What is WSL doing? No, this is Limicro. Yeah, also some 390X things that we already know about. How are the other ones doing? Are they actually okay? Timeout exceeded, probably need to restart that, but that's fine. Then WSL, yeah, this is the typical WSL issue. I just have to restart it. It's also fine. So nothing new, and juice doesn't show me anything. Let's see if there is actually something up. They all look nice. Yeah. So basically, that's how I do the review shift. This I can let run. There is a nasty bug at some point. The program just becomes very unresponsive and uses 100% CPU. I don't know yet where this comes from, but then you just close it and you restart it, and that's fine. And that's basically how I do the review shift. How can you use it? In the openQA mon repository, there is a underscore review directory, which contains a lot of examples. And I try to make them exhaustive in a way that you can learn how the XAML configuration files should look in order to make your own. So, for instance, if we go to Tumbleweed, here at the beginning, we just have some, let me increase the font size so that you actually see something. This is just some generic configuration that you need, probably just copy paste it. There are examples for O3 and also OSD, so you don't have to figure out this yourself, just use the provided examples. And then typically the review happens by job groups, and those you define via those group parameters. Here, for instance, I monitor all OpenSUSE Tumbleweed DVD jobs in the job group, but you can also define some subgroups groups by for instance, defining query parameters like this. So I leave it here. If you're interested, I look into the configuration file should give you enough hints to actually put one of the configuration files yourself together. And yeah, the running is just simply as openqa ref tool minus C for config and then a link to the configuration YAML file. Yeah, that's about it.
Nice, thank you. Any questions or additions here?
I have a small question. I am lazy. So in your repository, in those configurations, there are already like real scenarios, right? So if I wanna review something, I can use those,
Yes,
or I
of
can
course.
update those and create a pull request for you. Is that true?
The
Or are they just dummy, like useless, and I need to really configure the real ones?
well, we can discuss about it. In principle, the intention of the underscore review directory is really just to give a set of examples. But as you can see, I have most of the workflows that I used here, just because I'm also lazy. And if you put really a nice one together that maybe is in the public interest, then we of course can include it here.
I guess if you would suffer from your own success and really have an uprise of people wanting to add more configuration, you could think about another repository and just,
Yes.
you know, link link
Yeah.
a local directory there.
Now I see the file names, and it basically answers my question. There is the public cloud, there is the
Yeah.
containers and tumbleweed. That's what
The,
I need.
inten-
Thank you.
the intention of this repository is not to contain every possible configuration file, but to provide some meaningful examples that interested people can just start to look at them and then put their own stuff together. I mean them as Lego building blocks and not as ready to be used examples.
Cool, thank you. Yanis, you wanted to add something to this talk here?
Yeah, for the configurations, it's nice to have it like this. That I have my own, but it will be nice if OpenKey somehow there is a repository remotely and you can get fast results from some all the jobs. You know what
From,
I'm saying?
from all the jobs, phew, those are a lot.
No, no. I mean, have like somewhere somehow one the one step is to have configurations somewhere online and say open review um, this job, I don't know, HPC, and get results, or give a parameter for a local file. So the second step that I was thinking is if there was a script that could pass the uh, traverse the openQA and create these uh, files, you know,
A bit lost what you mean. So what I do is that I have my aliases to the configuration file. That's why I just type ref2 minus, I don't know, containers, and then it
like
executes.
a generator of this file, like a parser or something.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so how do you generate the config file? Like if I'm interested in group 1, 2, 3, um, how
If you
easy is
go,
it?
if you open a file, open like containers.
Mhm.
All of them pretty much have the same format. So in theory, you could create a parser or something and have a generator, get all the group IDs from openQA and create, you know,
Uh,
the
uh,
name, parameter, group ID. So and store them somewhere online, maybe inside openQA.
Or is
In
there
the,
something like a way to, just call openQA RefTOI and then save that into such config file?
because whenever I had to go through this, I had to spend some time to. It's kind of lazy, but process to create.
yeah, the issue there is that I'm kind of running behind in order to keep those files up to date because things in OpenQA just change a lot.
Of
So
course.
containers is actually really a good example because here you can see that you have also to really fiddle a bit around with the parameters. Here,
That's
for
why I'm saying to automate it. And
yeah,
if you want to make changes, you can pass with minus
I
F your
I
own
have I have
config.
another idea, and I think less strict. What I think would be good is that those config files would really be somewhere public, or at least if it's confidential, I'm not sure now, then in some internal repository. So for example, if there is a team of 5, 10 people, and one of the team would create those file, you would not keep them for yourself, but you would copy them to some repository where when someone is, for example, creating a new job group, that person, if that person is aware of this tool, can go to that repository and update the config files. So like everyone benefits out of the existing files. And
Well,
yeah,
I would say cool ideas, food for thought, and we can see how this evolves over the future. Okay.
yes. Allow me please to answer Yannis' question.
Yeah.
Yannis, the problem that I had here, and this is why I'm not doing it, is you see it in this template that I had to introduce something like max lifetime parameters because the structure of the job group changed. At some point we merged all of the versions in one job group, and this made RevTool behave really weird in the beginning. And we have quite a lot of different approaches in how job groups are organized, and this needs to be somehow reflected in the configuration files. And because of this kind of wild growing differentiation between how this is structured, it is really not that trivial to make an automation to generate those files. At least I do not see them. It's on every review shift, I have to tune some of them because the job groups just change constantly. So work less people for the lazy ones here. But yeah, if at some point we reach a point where this is really stable, then I would be very much in favor of it. For now, I see the amount of manual interaction just too high for this to be possible.
Yeah. I would say also observations like these, when you say that job groups change and you need to reflect the in the configuration files, this is also helpful feedback for us or for the people maintaining these job groups to understand how downstream tooling like here rely on that and how tooling can help to organize and come up with some kind of consistent structure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So thank you, Phoenix, very much. So let's go then to the next one, which is by Yanis about remote login. So tell us something about remote login.
Yeah, okay, it's gonna be too short. It's not about review also, um, and I hope we're not gonna have problem with the sharing. So there is hidden feature, let's say, and that provide uh, uh, the Linux RC provides. It's called localhost. Um, so with this, you can have a remote server collect logs from some machine, for example. Here you can see the documentation, which is really short and um, enigmatic of how you can use it. In theory, you can just pass on the bootloader the localhost with something which doesn't exactly says definition host, destination host. So you say localhost and some IP, and should this remote server should collect logs from the machine that runs the installation. So um, to start, um, oh, this doesn't work somehow. This is the minimum configuration. Um, what the configuration? This is I use sys log ng. I didn't manage to make it run with the RC log on server, and the it takes at least three these blocks, the source which defines uh, where to get the
Yeah, Yanis, is
the
it possible to zoom in Emacs? Oh yeah,
so
perfect.
defines where it gets the where to get the logs from, um, the destination of where you can you gonna save them. You can also give some other filters for what you're going exactly to retrieve. So this is the minimum one. Um, and the logs is the block that put all together and says, you know, give me these logs from using this filter to this destination. Um, so here I have my workers. I'm gonna show you directly how yeah, sorry. Once you have the server with this configuration, right, on the server side, also, you at least in openQA, you don't have to do. I'm gonna trigger a job. Here you can see that I have already run it, and I pass extra parameters with this, which is just the IP. I don't have ready the what's going on in the YAS side. So the YAS in YAS, when you pass the parameter as you see here in the boot, the only thing that does is just to create an entry which looks like this. on the server side. Which says get me everything on this IP
And
on
it
this
has
port.
a default port, I assume.
Yes. So in localhost, you don't need to give the port, just you pass this parameter. And when you trigger this, uh, wait, what happened? After the bootloader, you should start seeing logs on the logs. We aggregate all the logs from this host. Um, One of the benefits also is like even if you delete the file, it's gonna recreate it and get some logs. Obviously, it needs a lot of. There are many things to do to make this properly work for openQA. I mean, clean up and how to uh, define, set it to collect the logs per job and not per host. Um, yeah,
Seems we lost the connection to Yanis. He's logging too much. So let me switch shortly. So what we will do is we will have a chance to see the result from Yanis soon. I'm throwing in a spontaneous lightning talk in the middle, reviewing on the openQA web UI. And for that, let me go to just openQA open source org test. And of course, this is what we are talking about here is not really a new feature, but just what maybe most or all of you already know. So if you just go to the test page, then from here you see that big cross.
yeah, I thought I had fixed this problem.
Yeah. So here on the test page you have this to-do flag, and if you select the to-do flag, then you will see that the jobs update, and it only shows the ones similar to what Phoenix was showing it before. All the jobs that do not, well, all the jobs that are failing or incomplete, and all the jobs that are not yet having any bug ref. So here we would select individual jobs and then go into the details to see what we need to do to review it, and then give it an according comment with a bug ref, and then it would disappear from the list. Similar, if we go to the build of openQA and we select a build there in the test overview, then you will see there's also a filter option for to do. And if I do that, then you will see that it only shows the jobs that actually need reviewing, the ones that still need a bug refer. The test failure needs to be investigated. And yeah, you also see openQA investigation jobs. So here they had been triggered. They're currently running. So if it's not already clear from the test details or maybe from the investigation tab what the cause of the problem is, then from the investigation jobs, the result should be clear. What I can also say is that what we have just recently rolled out is that openQA Investigate now also supports multi-machine tests. So if you have a multi-machine tests like some client-server test cluster, and that one fails and job post hooks are enabled and there's no label carryover or anything, then openQA Investigate triggers according investigation clusters in the background, and then you should see according results on both the client as well as the server job to help you with investigation test failures. So that's it from my side regarding the reviewing on the openQA web UI. Yanis, would you like to show the result of remote logging or jump to the next topic immediately?
Yeah, you can see that here the logs that running.
Can you share your screen again? Yep.
So
So
yeah, it's
installer is
running, and
running.
here, yeah, it's running and it collects the logs. The
Live
benefit
upload.
is that you don't need in OpenQA. Usually, you run the post fail hook to collect the logs. Here, you don't because it's real time,
Right.
and this is one of the benefits.
That's nice.
Um,
If I understood it correctly, it's really just as simple as, configuring any openQA jobs with the additional boot parameter. So it's just you showed extra boot params and we can put it there, right?
Yes, and you can also do things like send the logs to Progress or save them somewhere there, and many other things. Just the documentation is long, and I just scratched the surface for this. So to go fast to the other where I
Okay.
am. Okay, um, let's forget this and I'm gonna show something that I start doing. It's not even close to what Felix have, but um, I start something on the Hack Week um, for create a framework in Emacs for openQA. Um, I name it um, Oka. What this does, I'm gonna show you probably a little bit fast on this. This is pretty much the code. Uh, Creates a Oka mode, and the demo is gonna display just some results from table width. Um, but there are many possibilities, right? No. So now I should have Oka. When I run Oka, it's gonna conduct the uh, openqa opensys.org and gonna give me some results. What's the thing with this is that I should be able to do things with this. Now I'm gonna show you the same thing actually, but sorry, there is
That's the
this.
latest Tumbleweed build status.
Yes, should be.
Okay.
And you see down to the buffer, mini buffer, you can specify actions. So in theory, you could have from the mode, you should be able with key bindings perform different actions. Here I have just the same thing, like it's gonna display the same. I didn't go that far, but the idea comes from example from if you know Magit. Um, let's say I'm gonna show you Magit, which might make more sense to see the possibilities. Um, test. Let's say you work on something, right? And you can have match this in framework for Git, which you can have perform see things and interact with this mode. So here I have a change, I want to commit it, and I can do things like uh, all the actions from this with just some key bindings, which is really nice and fast. Like I want now to commit it, I can press S, it states, I can and now I want to commit, so I'm gonna press, now I want to sign it, and then now I want to commit it, so it's gonna open and I can do stuff. And the same thing is what I'm thinking from openQA, like get the status and trigger a job or filter the results, things like that. And that was my
Well,
how
thank you.
to
That
say.
that sounds the first stage is already impressive, and this looks promising. Admitting I'm a Vim guy, but still, yeah, for some, that's good.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
think it's gonna be awesome because, but yeah, from one place you can do so many things and you don't need to open so many. Like I can ask for the settings, edit, open the settings, modify
Right.
it, and then run and things like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I had to learn also Lisp because that was my first.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. Thanks very much. So let's go back to documents and yep, there's nothing more here. So I'm adding something spontaneously uh, output from openQA. So obviously Yanis and Phoenix already know that, but maybe some others do not know that yet. So yeah, let's go to an openQA test overview page. Do you see the openQA test overview page that I'm sharing?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So yeah, we have seen that in before, and now I'm just going to the to-do page. And if we are on that page, then we see like, okay, this is cool and awesome, but I would like to get the JSON representation. So just add .json to the URL, and then you see the complete results here. And we can then, well, you can parse that with JSON. So this is the two tests. Yeah, we can actually zoom in here as well. So this is the two test cases that we have seen failing NVMe and remote VNC controller. And we can go in here. And right, another possibility would be like if you want to take a look for that job in particular, then we can not have a JSON page of that ID in particular, but what is existing is that we have the API, and then that was a bad idea. Now I'm missing the number. And then you have this. So this is the JSON output of that one individual job. And from here you can access all the details, all the settings, and get more details here. There might be the case that you need the specific vars JSON file. Well, that's a simple download and it's a JSON file by itself. So if you go into there, then you also see the settings which are nicely parsable directly as JSON. And by the way, if you want to see some scripts which use that as an example, I can recommend to take a look into the Force Auto Scripts repository. There, what we have is some tooling that we didn't want to include with openQA directly to have it a bit more separate and also apply a different, let's say, a different level of quality there. So we can play around a bit more in this repository and be less strict about accepting stuff. And there's by the way also things that interact with the Postgres API. You can see that here. But there are also things that look into openQA, like openQA Investigate, openQA Label known issues, trigger bisect jobs, trigger jobs in openQA, for job label. They're either using the API or also direct database access. One example would be, let's take a look into openQA Investigate, because that one just recently received changes, and you can see that we are using the openQA CLI here to read out just the JSON information from jobs. Just the thing that we have shown you. What Markus Kittler lately included is that we're also taking a look into the dependencies of jobs. So if you're talking about multi-machine tests or clusters of jobs, then this is where we can also read out data from here. Or if you're caring about individual job settings, so for example here we are reading out job settings which have publish variables included, or here we are changing the priority of jobs. What else do we have? That one here, cluster jobs. So this one is a nifty example of some more advanced handling with the JQ JSON parser command line tool, which I also really like. When reading out some data, we can filter for certain IDs in the cluster, flatten, unique, or take a look inside and only select certain parameters when they're matching certain status and such. So a lot of things can be done over the API with some nifty scripting. So, yep, that's it from my side. Any other notes or questions you guys would like to add, or any micro lightning talk anyone would like to present, like a shout out for some work that you do, maybe a new topic that you're proposing for workshop sessions, anything like that? Doesn't seem like it is the case right now. That's completely fine. If I'm taking a look for the next workshop topics, then we are we have one more talk that we have scheduled right now for next week. I would like to show how we deploy openQA continuously on openQA OpenSUSE.org. And after that, we do have some proposals, but we are also open for topics proposed by you. If you want to learn about something, or if you want to present about something, then please let us know. Add it to the wiki page, contact us. So we will add it, and we will see about preparing that. With that, let me thank you and hope to see you next week. Bye.